Greetings. One of the things that I realize as you get more experience in life, likely to turn old, because that doesn't reflect what the real situation is. Your body age, but the mind, your personality, your identity. That is what I want to talk briefly about. Identity. But your identity change in different phases over time. One of the things I realized is that at different junction of my life, I knew what and associated with different persons. Example, I went to Kingston College High School in Jamaica. Brave, may yield, but never. Brave may fall, but never yield to the more correct. And I think it came from the bishop, and this is my assumption. I Henry, the British lad, when he talks about you are the master of your life, and you are the captain of your soul. It is well in charge. In a different juncture of your life, you would have different identities. So between when I was 14, 16, I had two identities. I didn't realize it. I was reflecting on them. What were they? One, it was academic. I was in school. I was a sixth former. You were expected to be physicist, engineer. This is what I was convinced and told. So all the students wanted with that in the group that I was in. So, hey, I want to be an engineer, mechanical engineer in my life. Because I also learned, rudimentary. But I did not like the theoretical stuff up in the sky. I'm a practical person. I like to do things, like to create things. So we're very good at carpentry. I still am. But I realized that I also had a different identity because I was a member of the youth club. And so I had a completely different identity there. I was a leader in the youth club. At school, I had no position of leadership. In fact, I gave it up. Let's put it more correctly. I gave it up because I wasn't prepared to play the game. But that's a story for another time. So when I became involved at a later stage in the youth development, this was in parallel to my being a teacher of mathematics. Because I was pointed in that particular direction. And I got satisfaction from that teaching. Because on the second week of my being in the classroom, I pledged to myself that the teaching of mathematics should be related to the society and the world in which we live. And I set out on that journey, and I'm still continuing in that journey and today to learn. But back to this thing about identity. So, in the youth movement in Jamaica, I began to read. I taught myself how to be a good public speaker through Dale Carnegie. I came across Cahill Gibran and found a little red book which outlined a philosophy which I have explained in our video. And it took me literally over 50 years to understand that little bit. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That was my guide through all my life. I didn't know everything. I was doing what I was doing. And that led me to the point of my involvement at a certain phase in the Jamaican youth movement. I decided that I was going to create a youth senior members council from the youth club structure that exists. I was going to create a national, which bring all the young people in youth club together. I conceived this in my mind. And I set out to do it. I didn't know how. I met Paul Miller, and he had a dream and a design to create a national youth movement. And so it synchronized with what I wanted to do. And I joined in it. And that became my vision. I got into his vision and created that vision. He moved on to become and go into politics. And I took it, and then we had decided together early 1970 something to create this organization. It took 4 to 5 years to do that. It first originated in my mind. I'm not going to apologize to anyone about it. First originated in my mind. I didn't know the name. That came about with talking with all the people inside and returning to the Jamaica Union of Democratic Youth. And then eventually we found the Jamaica Union of Students, which involved students from the tertiary down to the high school level. We accomplished all of that. But I had an identity associated with that. Now you may ask, what is my identity now? I still teach Lord Williams. And then to what is called personal development. It's no different from my involvement in youth development, in trying to increase and develop the consciousness of the ordinary masses of Jamaican people. That was the purpose. Don't get tied up into the tribal stuff that exists in me. Personally, I would never enter that. Yes, I was involved in the workers' part of the intervention. But that was like a de facto situation because I never subscribed to the division of Jamaican people, nor Jamaican young people. Never. So I never had the mentality of tribe and hating people and killing. No, 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 no. So there were little patches along the particular way. Why am I explaining this? If I come back again to identity. If you know me in school, you have a certain picture of me. And you know me in my early days in the YouTube, you have a certain picture, certain concept, because I have a particular identity. And if you knew me during the period in which I was involved in the created the organization, going to the 11th World Festival of Youth and Students, which I conceived in my mind in 1974 in Bulgaria. Yes, I did. I didn't do it by myself. Let's get back to it. But they must not understood. So identity, what identity of you evolved in? What is your identity? But I say, what is your value? And my value is change? Not really. We want to always help people improve their lives, live a better life, and to create the conditions in society to allow that to happen. Wasn't you? Whatever label one may have determined is neither here nor there. It's the same thing. Recently had discussion with friend of mine who was along the road in that journey. And he's now into the church. We had a discussion and he said, it's kind of strange, but not in his words, but my words, that Karl Marx had a vision based on the past development of society that there was going to be a state of human development in which abundance is going to be manifested in the lives of people, going to be different. Well, building confident community business. And he says, from each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. Interesting. What he said prior to that, there was a particular phase is from each according to his ability, to each according to his work. That's simple for me. Ultimate is you contribute to society according to your ability, but your returns will be in accordance with your needs. And you need, not what society say you must. What is your need? What is your inner driving force? What do religious people talk about? They talk about heaven. What is heaven? with this love. But there in life, something which I'm not going to get into right now. But what we were basically saying is that there's a merger, both scientifically as well as in terms of theology, merger of theology and science, that everything is energy. Everything is energy. And your thoughts is energy. So what you think about is what you become. As I approach the second meeting, the second part to Marcus there, when the sevens touch, I'm very grateful to the friends and the people who have met, who have made me who I am. And I have lovely memories of everyone. Everyone. Doesn't matter. So I just want to share this with people, know those selected persons, but nevertheless, that look at your identity. What is your identity now? And along the journey, when our paths cross, when you think of all the people who your paths have crossed, all the relatives, all your ancestors, they will make you who you are today. What would